We're going to let it all hang loose. And welcome to the show, everyone. We are live. Welcome to the Maximo show. We are going to have a raucous, marvelous, stupendous night. I told you I was going to study that adjective section of my notebook, and I did.
Raucous.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We hope y'all are living your best life with wherever you're at in 2023. Happy 23.
Happy 23,
It's a Jordan year, so it's got to be great for everyone.
Has to be.
We hope wherever you're at, you're doing fabulous. Go ahead and drop us a comment in the comments. Wherever you're watching this, let us know where you're chiming in from. We hope you're doing well. Tonight, I've got the Wonderful Mex. Is that where we can find you at on Instagram?
Wonderful Mex, dude. That's the name. What are you doing? Like the side kind of?
No, we kind of just do whatever, man. We do whatever. There's no protocols here. Welcome to VodPod Media, Mr. Juan. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing fabulous. I'm happy that you agreed to come through. Welcome to finally being on the show.
Dude, I'm excited, dude. I'm really excited. Hey, you look jacked.
Do I look jacked? Thank you. I got to give a shout out to all the best drugstores and supplement pushers and the caffeine.
Leave in the comments how jacked Maximo looks on a scale from 1 to 10.
Well, I did work out today too, so I got extra jacked. I try to get extra jacked before I come on Tuesday nights. So thank you. Welcome to the show. You know, I've known you from a lot of different spaces, but one of the things that we wanted to talk about was a little bit of sports. We know the World Cup just got done.
Yes, sir.
And so what were your thoughts on the World Cup?
You know, I'm a huge Mexico fan, so I'm used to disappointment. You know, it was painful. You know, it's sad when the moral victory is that we got our asses kicked by the eventual champion. I guess that's something. Yeah, man. I mean, Mexico has been kind of one of the soccer teams I followed forever growing up in El Paso. You know, my dad, mom, everyone's from Juarez area and all that as well. So it was always something that we watched together and that we enjoyed. But yeah, I mean, it was a good World Cup, dude. Got freaking crazy at the end. What'd you think?
What a game. I thought it was a great game. You know, I think really analyzing the World Cup from a sports perspective, it really showed me like, hey, these are some of the best athletes in the world. One. Yeah. Two, I thought we had a great final World Cup game for everyone to watch, right? It was a great game. You had, some of the best. You had, an exciting matchup, right? I mean, it came down to the final case. That's as exciting as it can get for soccer and non-soccer fans. Yeah. Now, I say soccer. Yeah. Right? You've seen that commercial, right?
It's a soccer
with Peyton
football.
Manning and David Beckham.
You know that USA fans were screaming that at British fans? Do you know how they were saying it's called soccer? Do you know how angry that probably would make you if you're a British dude? Just like these Americans, these drunk Americans. Oh, they weren't drunk. Yeah. They weren't allowed to drink alcohol.
Is that right?
So it may have been there. Yeah, dude.
So we're interested. So we just got into a debate about alcohol.
Right.
Versus, alcohol drinkers versus non-alcoholic drinkers. Now, let me ask you this, and we'll leave this also to our audience because we've got a fabulous slate of VodPod viewers, people that subscribe, people that watch the show every week. So if you've been a subscriber, if you've been a watcher, appreciate y'all sticking with us. We're in a brand new year. Now, we know during this time of the year, people make New Year's resolutions.
Right.
And some of them are about getting healthy. Some of them are about, whatever that may look like, giving up old habits and starting anew. If that's what it takes, folks, for you, a calendar year for you to start up something healthy, I'm all for it. I don't care what it is. Can you stick with it, though? One of the things we talked about are the consumption of certain things like alcohol versus other things like caffeine. Now, caffeine is a drug. Right. 100%. We talked about we are caffeinated people, right? We are people that drink 100%. Caffeine, that run off caffeine because we live in a world that demands high energy, attention, right? You've got to stay awake and sleep is a premium, particularly if you have kids, right? I mean, who's Dear sleeping God, if you have kids? If you have kids and you're sleeping, my goodness, good heavens to you. Exactly. So what do you think about like New Year's resolutions? I mean, have you heard any good ones this time of year?
I make them, dude. I make them every single year. I'm not even joking. I'm that corny ass dude that's like writing in notebooks and shit, like keeping it like, oh, this year, don't be fat, or whatever. And it never works out for me, dude. Like it's one thing I'm learning with age is it's all about, consistency. Yeah. I'm real freaking consistent for about a week, dude. And then I gotta, maybe my resolution should be instead of being consistent for 7 days, I'd be consistent for 8 days later, and then by the time I'm like 90, I'm pretty consistent. So that's the only way it's been.
You just needed some practice.
Yeah, dude, it's hard, man. It's hard because
new habits,
right? But you fall you fall into like the old ones so quickly, right? Like we were talking about drinking, dude. It's always been in my head to stop drinking.
Alcohol,
like when you
caffeine.
said that to me right now, or alcohol, caffeine. Well, caffeine is not. Let's be real. Dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop drinking caffeine. I don't think I can.
Ever. Have you? Do you go through withdrawals yet? Like,
I mean, I can
headache?
wean myself off it, but if I'm waking up super early, it just doesn't. Like I don't really want it. Like it's like one thing. Like you don't need it because you can train your body to get into a habit of not needing it.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's not as comforting. Like it's more of a comfort thing to me in certain respects.
Yeah.
Like I get up in the morning, I want a big cup of black coffee. That's
Right.
my thing.
Right.
It's comforting. It's soothing. It takes me to a safe space. It helps me think, okay, let's start off the day with this. But I don't need it.
Right. But I mean, we need it. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten those caffeine headaches, like when I'm trying to wean myself off of it, and like I'll read online and shit, and they're just like, drink water, you know, whatever.
Yeah, no.
That shit doesn't.
That's not gonna work.
No, that's not. That's not, you know why? You know why, Maximo? Because it's not caffeine.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So
It's
I need
true.
to feel that, like, especially with black coffee, because that's how you know you're an addict, right? Like we don't even give a shit about like sugar or like it tasting like anything or no. It's just
I want real coffee.
real coffee, like, you know, make me feel alive and all that stuff. So it's always made me think about how probably like coffee shops and like coffee trucks have been popping up everywhere here in San Antonio. That's probably one of the smartest business plans because it's like almost like legal drugs that you're pushing, right? Because I don't know if you've ever done this, but have you ever like drank a coffee and then you're like, all right, cool, I'm done. And then you're driving to work or something. And then you see a new coffee shop.
Another cup.
And it's, I mean, you need it, right? And then you're like have an anxiety attack when you're inside, but you do it again the next day. That's kind of like, that's a perfect business plan right there. That's how you get people to keep coming back.
Well, one of the things about caffeine, for example, like again, you know, that is a tool. It is a drug per se that allows us to do the things we do. So like you mentioned work, right?
Yep.
So I've known you from some of the theater community spaces around the area. Now, how could you have your entire life and do all of these things, right? You're getting maybe 5 hours of sleep per night, right?
Yeah.
Without caffeine.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be very, very difficult, right?
Absolutely,
I mean,
100%.
It's, you know, listen, I don't know too many. They recommend, for example, we talk about healthy living. They recommend to get 8 hours of sleep per night. I don't know anybody that gets 8 hours of sleep. It's damn near impossible.
It's impossible.
With an aggressive life. I mean, think about it. There's 24 hours in a day. 8 hours is a third of that day.
Yes, sir.
Right. So how are you even going to get that? I mean, that's sacrificing your time when this world demands your energy. It demands your production. It demands things to get things done. Right.
Yeah.
Like theater. We talked about theater. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of attention to do theater. Right.
100%.
You've directed shows before, right? So let's talk about your theater background, if you will. Talk to us about how you got involved in theater.
Yeah, it's kind of actually a crazy story, man. So I wasn't like, I didn't do theater or anything in high school. I played sports. I was a competitive soccer player from the time I was 8 till I was 18. Kind of decided to step away from soccer after that, you know, and went to Arlea Lake University. You know, I moved from El Paso to Arlea Lake University, and I believe I started on communications, the major of people who don't know what the hell they want to do with their lives. You're like,
That's a good major.
Fuck it, I'll communicate with people and things. And I, you know, started doing it, and then I joined an acting class just because, you know, it was something I was really, really into. You know, I spent a lot of my youth listening to or watching, you know, like Saturday Night Live, watching Way Too Young, watching Eddie Murphy Raw, you know. So I had an uncle. This is kind of a crazy story. So I had an uncle he was single at the time, and he was like in his 30s, and he had this freaking badass collection of movies, dude. And this was in Juarez, and it was like everything, dude. Godfather, Goodfellas, fucking Coming to America, the Best of SNL, right? All this stuff. Eddie Murphy Raw again. And you know, he would leave for work, and I'd just be there at my grandma's house. You know, grandma's house, you're just chilling, bored as shit, right? And I would just throw on these tapes, and I was, you know, maybe I was a little too young to be watching some of the stuff because I was like 7, 8 years old. But man, I'll tell you, dude, that was my first thing where I couldn't believe that people actually did that for like a living, right? And you see it, and you don't think you could do it or you can do any of that, but you're like, wow, it looks like a lot of fun. Then SNL looked like a lot of fun, those kind of things. And that kind of made me start with comedy. And then after that was over, I I went to go watch, there was something that got me into theater before I even decided to do theater. I'm trying to remember you know what? You said, have you been to El Paso?
I passed through.
You passed through. It's fucking everybody says, dude. I went to LA and it was right there. And, I stopped there and got diarrhea real quick. So there was this, there's this place called McKilligan Canyon. And basically there's a dance company that always uses, it's beautiful, man. Like there's, with the LEDs and all that, you're basically performing in a mountain, dude. And it looks beautiful. And in 8th grade, they took us to go watch a production of Midsummer Night's Dream. And I don't know what the hell they were saying, dude. I didn't know shit about Shakespeare at the time. But one of the girls that went with us, her brother was performing in it, right? And I remember watching him and being like, I don't know what this dude's saying, but like, it seemed realistic when you see your friend's brother performing in it. So then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Kind of, if you just kind of put that in the back of the mind and then go. And then come college, I was like, I'm going to join an acting class. With a man named Roger Alvarez, was an awesome acting teacher. And then I was at the gym, actually, and I met a guy named Vic Trevino, who's one of the reasons I'm in this in the first place, man. Freaking awesome dude. He asked me to audition for a play. I didn't even know what the hell that was, but I was all, let's try something new. You're trying to fill that void, right, that's left from going to practice every day and doing all that shit and, all that stuff. And I was just, what I'm going to see if this fills the void. And I kind of threw myself into it, dude. And, after that first show, I got cast. And after that first show, I just changed my major and called my my Mexican dad to tell him that, hey, I'm going to be an actor now. You know what I mean? Which is cool. He's always so supportive. He would always, my pops would always say, if you're going to do something, just work your ass off and try to be the best at it, right? And that was always his message for absolutely everything. It doesn't matter what you do. If you love it and if you throw your heart and soul into it, the money will come on its own and all the other things will take care of themselves, which luckily, he was right. So, it's something that I still love to this day.
So let's talk about your acting background. Mm-hmm. I understand, you've recently filmed a film, correct? Mm-hmm. You're in a film, but you've done tons of theater. You've done tons of directing. You used to teach at a school theater, correct, as well? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so I started teaching, and I was a teacher at a place called McCollum High School on the south side. Was there for 6 years. Friggin' awesome experience, dude. Great kids, great campus. Had so much fun. Learned a lot there. Moved on to another school, Stevens High School on the north side. That was great too. Was there for 4 years. Did some awesome shows. Met some great people and everything. And then, once COVID hit, and we had to do the online stuff, I was kind of like,
yeah, I can imagine.
I think that's kind of the rap that people get with teaching is a lot of people are like, oh, that's when I realized I hated it, and that's when and that never happened to me, dude. I left that job still loving it. Yeah. It was just when you have time to breathe and you start thinking about it and you're like, what's next? You know what I mean? So I jumped out of there and I'm doing something else now. And then, just started working a lot with Teatro Audaz, which is where I'm the assistant artistic director, and started working with them and Laura Garza and everything, and we she was nice enough to give me an avenue to still kind of flex that creative muscle. Mm-hmm. So I directed my first show for them this last season called Bad Hombres. It went on to win Best Comedy. Didn't win, but we won. I won Best Director, but then a ton of the people won a bunch of awards, and the show won a bunch of awards, and it was great. It's been amazing, dude. This theater thing, it just takes you all over the place. You get to meet the most trippy, awesome.
It's definitely fun.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? It's cool hanging out with the creative types, man. People who are just kind of like who they are, and you don't really get that a lot in the sports. You don't get that a lot in other arenas, but I think with theater, it's a place where people want you to be yourself, and they're like, dude, who gives a shit? Just
bring your creative energy, bring that outlet, bring that fire you have. I love live shows. I love live performing live here. It's It's interesting. You talked about like film and like growing up and watching movies and whatnot. I was the same way.
Yeah.
And one of the shows on television that I liked that I love, that I always watch religiously, was the Arsenio Hall show.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, it was live, right? You had live music, you had live comedians, you had just a fun audience, you had a great host, and he brought in the best guests, and it was like, these are our people, you know what I'm saying? And so that's some of the inspiration for why we have this show right here. We bring live guests in, we have live shows, and we just have fun, right? We just do our thing, So theater is definitely like that, man. And what about? Let me ask you this: what makes someone a good actor?
Whew.
I know that's a tough question, but I mean, you as a director of someone who's in film, because I saw the trailer for your film, which I want to talk about a little bit as well.
Sure.
And you had like a bandana on, and you had like a thicker beard, and I'm like, you don't even look like the dude I know, right? So I was like, okay, I get this, because you were like into the role, right?
Right.
That's something that happens as an actor, right? You get immersed in the role, you get immersed in it, you become that character, even if it's just for the time that you're on stage or the camera.
Right.
So like, what makes someone a good actor in your mind?
Some of my favorite actors are the ones who you can tell don't give a shit what they look like on camera, on stage. They're about the work, right? They're about, some examples for me. I mean, and this is just because it's like fresh. Like I just saw that Glass Onion movie, and I mean, I could freaking watch Edward Norton in anything, bro. Like that guy. I mean, Colin Farrell. Like a lot of these guys who just don't, Sam Rockwell. These are just dudes who, it's like, cool. I'm glad there's a camera here, and I'm glad that there's an audience here. But in a weird way, it's like I do care that you're there, but at the same time, like it's about what this playwright or this screenwriter wrote here and how I'm going to connect to it. And the actors, a lot of the times, the actors at least I connect with are the ones who are more connected to the script and the characters than they are to what the performance, right? And not to say that that's not important. It's very important, but it's about the work, man. I mean, if you're a young actor, is one of the things we used to talk about, and I used to talk about with my students a lot, is really understand why you're getting into it, right? If you're getting into it to look pretty and because, people are going to clap for you, this and that, that's only going to take you so far, right? The thing that separates you is how much you pour into that script, how much work you put into it. And it was, I think for me, one of the most shocking things about becoming a decent actor and director and all that was the correlations it has with the way that you treat sports, right? Like earlier we were talking, I was messing with you because I saw your calendar of your workouts, and to me, I'm like, my first question to you was, when the hell do you rest? And you looked at me like, I rest the day, right? Like what was the one that's like, what was the cardio day called? Engine?
Engine building.
When you got engine in your workout thing, you're going a good engine. You're going hard, man. You're going hard. Yeah. That's good. But like you have to kind of do it the same way. So when I played soccer and like I said, we were a pretty good team and everything. You expect it to suck every single day. Like, I mean, you'd go and your coach would call you out. It's gonna be hard. Your coach would tell, and then you'd get better, right? Yeah. And then in the game, you would see that one mistake you made in practice, and you would fix it, and it was fine. And your coach would yell at you. You go, okay, cool, coach. Feelings weren't hurt. You were fine, maybe for a second. Then you were gone. I learned really early. I remember one of the times, one of the first performances I ever did. At the end, for anyone who's done theater or anything like that, you get notes at the end, right? Like, hey, you need to cheat out this way, or like, you suck, your acting was terrible, whatever. And I remember being one of the only people there that was excited to get the notes because I knew that was going to lead to me getting better, right? Yeah. And that's kind of the way I sort of approached that. And I think the best actors are going to be the ones that approach it in that way, right? Just approach it as like, dude, it's work. A lot of the times you get cast in a show, you're like, you see so many people get so happy and this and that, when really the thing you need to be thinking about is like, all right, cool, I got cast, but there's freaking work to do, man. Like, true. I have a responsibility.
So I'm glad that you said that about like doing the work, because that's what it comes down to, like the workout plan, for example, right? I don't want to talk about that really, but it's about doing the work, right? If you want to get better in soccer, you got to go do the work. You got to show up, right? If you want to become a better actor, you have to put in the work, right? You have to be willing to take the notes. You have to be willing to have an open mind to say, hey, maybe they're right. Yeah. Or like, okay, if I really want to get better at this, then let me do this work. Right. And it's not always pretty. Right. Right. It's sometimes ugly, right? In terms of accepting the criticism or saying, hey, maybe I do need to get better. I never really wanted to hear that criticism. And that's really what it is about life too, right? We should become better human beings. We should evolve as better people and be, kinder people. And is
it fear also, do you think it's like fear of the alternative, right? Because, we're talking about you working out and stuff like that too. And it's like, is one of your a biggest fear would be, if I don't work out, how am I going to feel? How am I going to, perceive myself? And then when you're doing that with acting, it's, dude, if I don't freaking know these lines by tomorrow, I'm going to come to rehearsal and all these freaking people are going, dude, I'm going to tell you, when we were doing Bad Hombres, this last one, and it was pretty insane, but one of our lead actors had his lines down before anybody. And that entire cast will tell you. And no one told him to do that. He came in himself because he knows as soon as you're off book, that's when the real work starts.
That's when you can start doing
learning lines is the most like math to me, dude. You're learning lines, you're like, this sucks. Like, it sucks ass. You're mad at yourself. You're screaming at yourself. How the hell did I not remember this line, this and that? You get mad at the script and the playwright for writing that line. Doesn't even make sense. All this stuff. Once you're off book, that's when the actual magic happens, right? That's when you start actually getting into it. And one of our lead actor, he was off book like first week off. Again, didn't tell him to do that, nothing. But what did it do to the rest of the cast? Holy shit, we got to get off book too. Man. Not so much because we got to be like him, but more like, oh, that's a reminder of, oh shit, that's right. I got to do that in order to get to that next level, Yeah. So that was really interesting to see. But like, it's just so many different factors, man. I mean, I've seen a lot of the kids that I taught were first-time actors. And there was something beautiful about them not knowing the rules, them not just knowing, like, it's, like kids, man. Yeah. Like, I tell my daughter, hey, pretend you're your teacher. And she's got this whole little production. She's got the body. She's got she's doing the movement. She's using the voice, this and that. But as soon as I tell her, hey, that didn't look like an old lady, right? Let's work on old lady or whatever, this and that. I've already put that in her head. So now she's not giving me as real of a performance. So sometimes you have to like take the fact that someone's new into account and say, there's beauty in that. Yeah. Like, there's beauty in the rawness that you're giving me right now. And hopefully you can just kind of tighten the screws here and there. Yeah. But
kids do a lot of things well like that. So shout out to all the kids out there. Stay kids. Stop being indoctrinated by this world. Welcome to the stream. If you're watching, folks, we got some people chiming in. My mom's watching. Hi, Gloria. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Gloria.
We've got Laura T. Garza chiming in. LOL. Who gets 8 hours of sleep these days? Well, we know you don't, because you chiming in that you don't, but you should. Everyone should get 8 hours of sleep. Amzai Austin says cheers. He's got the cheers, the wine bottles or the champagne bottles for 23. Awesome. We got Mickey Sweet, Cheryl Metal chiming in. Happy Tuesday and Happy New Year. Again, the year of greatness, happy 23. Since it's a year of greatness, I want to talk about the state of great Latino theater.
Right.
That's something that we've been bouncing around. We've been talking about. We know what Latino theater is, but break it down for our viewers, to talk about exactly what Latino theater is and the state of it.
So I guess to answer the question, I kind of have to circle back.
Give us the backdrop.
Well, I'll give you what the goal is, right? The goal would always be, I walk in, I'm Latino, I consider myself, a Mexican American. Like I said, I go for Mexico in the World Cup, like, my family, my heritage from that. I also live in the United States, and I also feel American in a lot of ways. Now, one of the things that we strive to in theater is that one day it's just the person who walks in who gives the best audition. That's the goal, right? And if you're looking at what the United States is right now, we're a complete and total melting pot, right? And our hope is that the stage is going to reflect that at some point. Now, one of the examples that I've used about basically what the problem with a lot of these theater companies, or a lot of, not just theater companies, but just theater in general, is sometimes let's say somebody's doing a Tennessee Williams play, right? Okay. Let's say somebody's going, let's do Streetcar Named Desire or something, right? In their minds, the first thing that comes is an all non-Latino cast, right? They say, okay, no, it's not non-Latino, So they think of, Marlon Brando. They think of those type of things, which is fine, right? Mm-hmm. And then what ends up happening is that director, those producers, they end up casting that because that's the first thing that comes to their head. When really anybody could play, Stanley Kowalski, right? So I guess for us, the whole thing is to kind of get people out of that mode of like, this person has to play this.
Correct.
Right. And for things like Latino theater to just become, it's all part of the same, it's part of the same umbrella. Not that there's anything wrong with the title of it, but what I'm saying is there's always been such a separation, right? The example I've always used is like, it doesn't like, if you're doing a show, let's say you're doing a Midsummer Night's Dream, there's a fucking donkey in that show, bro, that talks and walks around. But you're going to tell me that people can't accept the fact that, well, a Latino's playing Lysander?
Yeah.
People are going to be like, no. Lysander is not going to play that. No. You can totally accept that.
Yeah.
But what happens is sometimes instead of just doing the damn thing in like a normal atmosphere and like a normal whatever, they say, well, you know what we're going to do? So we're going to get all the Latinos, right? All of them. And we're going to set this play in Matamoros, right? And then we're going to make them rivals. One owns a tortilla factory while the other... And what you end up doing is you end up... Oh, it actually sounds kind of badass, right?
That sounds pretty intriguing.
But what I'm saying is that you don't have to adapt it. Yeah. It could just be Midsummer Night's Dream. Yeah. It could just be Hamlet.
Correct.
It could just be, and that's sort of what the goal is. One of the other things Latino theater too is dude, the amount of freaking Latino talent, not just in this town, but the playwrights, right? We got some local playwrights here that are writing some freaking phenomenal stuff, man. I got I got my friend Gabriel Loera writes some freaking amazing stuff, dude, and it's just powerful stuff that's going on here that sometimes we don't get to showcase because it's just not in the cards for some people, because sometimes these shows are put on as favors, right? Instead of it just being part, it's like, you know what? Cool. We're going to have our normal season. We're going to throw you guys a bone, right? And it's like, no. Put my actor against your actor, and that's fine. Whoever gets the part gets the part, right? Just put us all together. We had this a while back. We had this thing. Sorry, dude. You got me on something I'm super passionate about.
Bring it.
I'm trying to see how many
and
milligrams.
He's got that. What is that? What is that? The Ghost?
200 milligrams of caffeine.
And it's 7:30 p.m. in Central.
Tropical mango.
He ain't sleeping tonight.
I ain't sleeping tonight, dude.
He definitely ain't getting 8 hours tonight.
Oh, hell no, dude. But I'll just drink another one. See, and the freaking cycle just continues. One of the things, it's, a lot of the times I've heard the excuse of like, well, not a lot of minorities come out to audition, right? And something I always thought of, and this has happened even in this town sometimes, you go out for these auditions and you look at the cast breakdowns and you see that only out of 26 people that are going to get cast in something, 2 of them are minorities, right? So while you have minorities going and auditioning for those, they only have 2 roles in their mind, while everyone else there has 24 in their mind.
Yeah.
Who is going to want to audition more? You tell me, who's going to want to get off of work early? Who's going to want to memorize monologues?
Yeah.
Who's going to want to go over, their scenes? Who's going to want to do that more? The people with 24 shots or the people with 2?
Yeah.
Well, we want to do what the goal is if there's 26 roles open, there's 26 roles open for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that would happen, and it does happen, or it should happen, I should say, if you got badass talent. And what I mean by that is people that can step up and play those roles, which I think we have, but it comes down to mindset as well, right? Just like you said, the person has to believe that they can walk in there and own it and be that character and trust that they will be directed properly and they can do this. Yeah. That's where I think some of our people struggle.
Right.
If they don't have the mindset, like, this ain't for me. Like, no, it is for you.
Yeah.
You need to believe it's for you. One of the best examples I use of that is like Denzel Washington. He goes and has his films, his roles, whatever he does. That's Denzel. He's in his own category. He don't do roles just for black folks. He does them for any. It don't matter what that role is. It's Denzel's role. He will make that. The whole audience, the whole other cast can be Russian, and he's doing his thing, because 100%. He's a badass actor.
Oh, he's amazing, dude.
I think our people need to get on that level as well, because we got the talent.
Yeah.
Pound for pound, we got the talent in the community.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, and we're. And we're getting there. I mean, I know earlier you'd asked me about film, and it's funny because one of the quintessential moments that had like a light bulb for me where I could even be in a commercial or do a film or do something was after I had seen all of these, movies, American movies. It was the day I saw Gael Garcia Bernal in Amores Perros. This is, I believe it was 2001 Inarritu's film, and it was just a bunch of Mexicans doing film. And now, call me ignorant, dude, but all I had watched growing up, as far as Mexican cinema, was I was watching Eugenio Derbez, right? Like I was watching comedy stuff. I was watching Chespirito, that type of stuff. Whatever. I was a kid, I wasn't watching the next level shit, right? And when I saw Amores Perros, I was like, holy crap! Like I see people I know. I saw myself. Yeah. Like I can do that. Now, not saying I wanted to go out and do Spanish movies, but it would have been awesome. But I was like, oh man, like you can do this, right? And I cannot tell you how disappointing it was to be when I was a teacher at a predominantly Hispanic school, to hear some of those kids not want to go through with theater because they said, like, how many Mexicans are you seeing on TV? We've gone to 7 shows this year. You took us to 7 shows. How many Hispanics were on that stage? Yeah. Right. And that's my goal. As long as I'm involved in this, is just to turn that around for somebody and for a kid to see someone on stage and say, holy shit, like, I can do this too.
Yeah. And that's a good point. So I'll say this as well, live on air. You hear anybody here watching this as a witness. I am looking to get back on stage. I need to see a badass script. I need to be called, because we have a responsibility also to inspire the next generation. Yeah. As you mentioned, there is talent. There's talent all over the community. There's people that are badass actors. They need to get on stage. They need to get in front of the camera. They need to get on these mics and get out here and do their thing, because if we don't, somebody else will. Yeah. And we need to be careful about not actively shaping the community that we want to be a part of, because if we don't do it, somebody else will, and we might not like the outcomes. Yeah. Somebody earlier was talking about an influencer by the name of Andrew Tate, whom I don't even freaking know, but apparently, he came to stardom recently, right? With this feud that he had with, who is it? Greta Thunberg.
It's just, that's a funny sentence, dude. That's a funny sentence. Yeah.
But it's true though, right? In the world of social media, crazy, calling people out and showing your braggadocio, like, man, I ain't got time for all that. Let's do something meaningful. Let's inspire the youth. Let's inspire our fellow actors, right? I was in a run club. Let me give you an example. I was in a run club. I'm talking about working out.
Of course.
I was in a run club, and there was this dude that he was a big dude, right? Tall guy, probably about 6'3". He was running fast. Yeah. I was running fast. I was beating him. The dude came and blew me out. Right. He blew me out. And he told me later after that, he said, thank you, man. He said, I never would have ran that hard if it wasn't for you. I was like, wow, that's a pretty nice compliment. Even though you just whipped that was a nice way of saying you done whipped my ass
100%,
in this race. Yeah. But I thought, that thought of steel sharpening steel and iron sharpening iron, I think that's the best way to go, man. That's how we should do this. We should inspire our fellow brothers, sisters, all of our relatives to do better, to want to do more. Yeah. So my DMs are open. If you got a badass script, send the script to my DMs, and I need to see it. I need to see what's going on, because I need to get back on stage sometime soon. Yeah. Those creative juices have been flowing.
You got to, man. And if you know how it goes. Once you feel that need, then you got to do it. Right? And once you feel that itch, you got to go.
And we got to do it for all the Latino Trump supporters, right? Because so you came in earlier and tell me you wanted to talk about these Latino Trump supporters, man. So I'll let you be the sacrificial lamb to get that out there. For all of our familia who have got their MAGA hats on right now, I'll let Juan get the first word, and I'm going to jump in. So go ahead.
All right. It was just something I noticed, an observation, that, it's been an interesting journey.
You're being soft spoken here, man.
I'm trying to build my pathway to the take. Here's the take. If you're, you follow, you want to be a MAGA supporter, just do your thing, whatever. If you're Hispanic, this and that. But why do you got to change your accent to a country accent? There's like dudes that I grew up with the last name, Sanchez, Gomez, these type of things that had this, the accents are different. El Paso, mostly people talk like this all the time. What's up, dude? What's up, bro? That all of a sudden they're talking like this, right? Talking about fishing, we're just going hunting, this and that. Kind of change up their accent and their whole being. And I think the whole point that I had was, it's just crazy how this this whole like MAGA thing hasn't just changed a lot of people in politics, but it's changed who they are as people and who they're trying to relate to. And it's still to this day, I see, okay, luckily we see it kind of dying down, right? Like
maybe,
I mean, what, I don't know, bro. What do you think? Because I mean, it kind of
they're
feels
still
like,
out there. I mean,
I know, but it kind of seems like the run is over-ish.
I don't know.
I don't want to say that shit, and then all of a sudden,
I honestly don't know. I think those Latino Trump supporters out there are alive and well. They're watching right now. They're getting pissed off. They're dropping comments in the comment section.
It's fine, dude. It's fine. Nothing worse than I haven't heard. Have they said anything? Oh my god,
they're not saying anything yet, but they're waiting. They're getting warmed up. They're getting warmed up. Welcome to our slaughterhouse.
They're getting off of True Social or what?
Dude, okay. Here's my thing. So I get people. Like, I feel like I want to be a people whisperer.
Right.
I understand people because I'm a people person, right? Getting in front of people, talking with people, socializing, networking. You get to understand people, right? When you're in certain communities, you understand people. I understand the nature of wanting to get ahead.
Yeah.
I understand the nature of wanting to provide for yourself and your family and live a good, free life and all those things that America has told you you could do, right? You could be freedom and justice and liberty and equality, right? But that way is not the way.
Yeah.
They believe it's the way somehow, some way, because perhaps they've heard all the Democrats and telling them that they were going to get free health care and they were going to get all these things. And they found that not to be true.
Yeah.
They found that was lies. It was
all
politics.
bullshitting us. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly, right? And so the people on the right have said, we're going to give you your guns. We're going to give you your freedom. We're going to have you a healthy business. And they said, yeah, maybe that's right. Maybe I can be American like these guys too. So I want to be a Trump supporter. I want to be a MAGA supporter. I can get that freedom as well. And they've been sold that bill of goods.
You know, and it's funny you bring that up. So there's we've had how many years was this? 6, 7 years to kind of formulate these new theories. And dude, when I don't understand something, I'm just full of theories. Like, I'm just like, what the, you know what I mean? I'm trying to figure it out. One thing that I do know is that's kind of and this is a lot on the Hispanic culture, right? So, you know, growing up where I grew up in in El Paso. People in El Paso greet you in Spanish, right? Sure. So you go to a restaurant, donde se quieren sentar, whatever. You're like, okay, and then you switch to English, and they'll speak English to you, right? Whoever do that. Now, there is this real little toxic, like kind of pocket of which I'm really glad I was never part of. But I'm lucky enough to be to where both my parents spoke Spanish to us. Like, so I'm fluent in Spanish. But it's not because I went to school to learn Spanish. It's just my parents happened to both speak Spanish and wanted us to learn Spanish. So they talked to us in Spanish and I know Spanish, right? So hooray for me, right? But it wasn't through any special thing that I have. It was just something that was given to me. So Thank you, Mom and Dad. But there was this kind of, people would look down on a lot of Hispanics that didn't speak Spanish. And I don't subscribe to the idea that for you to be Hispanic or for you to feel part of your culture, you have to speak the language. That's just might be a byproduct of it. But if you're about the culture and you're staying with your roots, you're staying with the dude. Read it to me if you got something. You got you're going with your roots. You're doing all that stuff. Then that's fine, dude. Like, to me, that's like you don't need to be hated on because you don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So what I think happened is a lot of people who felt they weren't accepted by one, and then felt that they weren't accepted by another, fell in the middle, and then what ended up happening is they just had to unfortunately choose a side. Yeah. Right. And a lot of it is that there are a lot of toxic, we were talking earlier about machismo and about a lot of the toxic things that come with thinking in that way. And one of those things is just constantly having this feeling that you're better than everybody for with zero merit. Like, there's no reason for a lot of these dudes some of the most confident dudes I've ever seen walking around have this false bravado where I'm like, bro, why do you feel so like badass? Like, tell me what it is. Like, what is it? Yeah. So, I just think that's part of it sometimes. So sometimes I try to look at it in that way and I'm like, damn, dude, maybe like poor dudes. Maybe they felt like some of them just felt like they didn't belong. Right. And then some others will get, of course I'll get screamed at, which here's the thing, dude, I've been being screamed at for the last 6 years about it. I've freaking lost friends. I've lost, the people really close to me that just went completely one way and couldn't have a conversation. That's sort of what is why I told you I feel it's kind of cooling down. For the first time in 6 years, I can have a political discussion with somebody who doesn't agree with me without being called a snowflake, without being yelled at. And, you know, it's been the weirdest thing. It's almost like politics is going back to usual.
Yeah.
So people are going back to the usual way of discussing these things. And I don't know if this tripped you out, but like, I always think of it this way. Like, okay, so I'm married. I love my wife, right? We have disagreements all the time.
Sure.
You know, she's usually right. So we have disagreements, right? But at the end of the day, we're still cool. We're still love each other. That's my wife. Like,
sure.
that's a person that, you know, decided to marry. That's a person who decided to marry me. Shit. And we have disagreements. How the hell are you going to agree with something, every single thing one dude says for 4 years and take everything as like gospel?
Yeah.
I remember one time remember that whole Kofifi thing happened? Remember?
Something like that.
He tweeted,
yeah.
It's stupid. It's the stupidest thing. It's no big deal. Nobody cared. I just thought it was funny. Nobody cared. It was just a joke, you know, this and that. And you had people arguing on his behalf.
Sure.
That
defended him.
Hey, bro, that means something, dog.
Yeah.
Right? Illuminati, bro. Like, you don't even know what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And we're seeing it now, right? We see it with, you know, like people defending Kanye, people defending, you know, this Andrew Tate guy. Like, and it's so trippy to me how so many people can have these views. But, you know, we were talking a lot earlier about confirmation bias on the internet, where if, you know, you believe that freaking trolls live under this bridge across the street, I can probably freaking Google it and be like, I freaking told you, bro.
Exactly.
There's a whole article about it from trolls.com. What's up now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just kind of confusing, man. And I hope we're going back to some type of normalcy when it comes to politics, man.
Well, it's interesting. I had a conversation with a Latino Trump supporter, and I listened, right?
Yeah.
And I knew what was going on. I knew what time it was. Started listening, and I said, okay, well, you said this. And then I started saying, well, here's really what it is. Here's really what it is. At the end of the conversation, that person was like, yeah, I know he's full of shit. And I'm like, wow, all righty, here we go.
Progress, bro. Because you know what? I've heard people say that to me too. And in a weird way, I can respect that.
Yeah.
Like, in a weird way, before, if it was like, nah, bro, this is all planned. Like, no, it's just part of his bigger deal. Oh, dude, you'll see by next year that wall fucking gold plated, bro. Like, I heard that from a lot, like just craziest things that I would hear from people. And yes, now a lot of them are more willing to be like, you know, you hear this a lot. Better than Biden.
Yeah.
It would have been better.
Yeah.
You know, better than Biden. And I'm like, hey, dude, if that's your argument, at least I understand that you're not, you know, calling this person the Messiah anymore.
Yeah.
Right? That's your opinion. Cool. And I've been able to have those conversations. Like you said, actually listen and be like, okay, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think the trouble I had, it wasn't so much I don't agree with you. I cannot agree with a lot of shit, dude. I don't agree with a lot of people. It's when I can't follow your line of thinking.
Yeah,
it frustrates me.
People have their reasoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's difficult, man. I was thinking about this the other day too. Like, let's talk about healthy eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, who are we to preach and tell people what they can and can't eat? At the end of the day, people do want to have that freedom. They want to have that personal choice to go eat what they like, to eat what tastes good to them, right? It tastes good. That's why I eat it. It tastes good.
Right.
No matter the consequences, their reasoning is it tastes good.
Right.
But we tell them, well, actually, it can taste good, but it's still bad for you.
Yeah.
Right. It can be bad for you. It can damage you. It can hurt you. It can kill you in the long run. People ultimately want to do what they want to do, right?
100%.
There are certain people, we could tell you all of those facts regarding these food choices and they would still eat it.
Yeah. 100%.
Because that's what they want to do.
That's what they want to do.
You know what I mean? And some of those people want to support Trump. They want to support it. They want to go to the ends of the earth, just like you said, to their deathbed and support this man. For what reasons? I don't know.
Right.
And here's the other thing. When you get down to it, I think many people will admit this guy's full of shit. Here's the thing. While that's true, this guy has no business running this country.
Right.
He has no business running this country, folks. I mean, listen, this man has talked about running for president again, right? Whether it happens or not, who knows? We would welcome to this table, folks, any Latino Trump supporter to have a healthy debate. It doesn't even have to be a debate. Let's just have a discussion. I'd like to hear some of your rationale, some of your reasoning, and that's it. We don't have to try to prove you wrong. I would just like to hear what you're talking about to support this man, because in my estimation, the person has no business running this country. What this person did while he was in office completely just divided. Look what happened to the Capitol. They rushed the Capitol for this man. They were willing to kill for this man. They did. There were police officers, right? Now think about that. You got a population of people that supported Trump that are pro-police. Blue lives matter, right? The thin blue line. Support your police, right? They went out there and stormed that Capitol, and they were ready to kill police officers, and a police officer died out there.
Yeah.
And who cares?
And
right?
Some
Who cares?
that it happened.
Exactly.
But it happened.
But it was a side note to what happened, right? Because that's the type of hypocrisy that exists in these communities, in my opinion. Now I could be wrong, folks. I've been wrong before. Surprise, surprise. So
no, and I think it just kind of circle back to, it's, we were talking about earlier I've had a lot of conversations about, the machismo and a lot of that. And that's by the way, machismo just doesn't correlate to just Hispanics, right? It's just the word for, just basically the type of person that feels like they're better than, right, for absolutely no reason. But one of the things I think he spoke to was to that type of culture. Now, I always think one byproduct of that too is it's very hard. It's like, when you ask a lot of people from, like, let's say our grandparents or our parents or anybody, how many times did your, grandfather, how many times did your uncle, father, whatever, how many times did you hear them say that they were wrong to do something?
Good point.
Right? So introspection takes strength, right? So you got to be able to look in the mirror and say, holy shit, I was wrong. That takes strength, right? And then, because you're going to have to take down all the thoughts that you had, freaking make them tumble down, go back to the drawing board, be scared because you have no idea where you're going with anything, and start thinking of new stuff. And that's hard, dude. That's really, really, really hard, especially when you're somebody who's thought you were right your whole life. And I think a lot of that too is kind of knowing, like, okay, maybe I was fooled, right? Maybe it was a little bit of snake oil. I've been had. But to admit that you've been had takes introspection. And when you're not capable of introspection, you're just going to double down. You're going to double down until you can't double down anymore, right? Your house could be burning and they could be burning the house, and you'll blame it on something else, because saying that they burned your house will mean that you were wrong. Yeah. And you can't do that. Yeah. And I think what's good about, our generation and even the next generation too, is that it's totally okay to be wrong. Like, could you imagine, we're a new culture where we make fun of ourselves a lot. We talk a lot of shit about ourselves. We put ourselves down. Yeah. Can you imagine any generation before us doing that? The same way, joking the same way?
Not really, no.
No. And and I think that's a good sign that we're becoming more confident in our own skin, that we can just, talk crap about ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a difficult, listen, when you're talking politics, it's a difficult thing to do, because somebody gets upset, someone, takes it to another level. There's levels to all of this stuff. And so people are personally affected by some of these issues to a level that's beyond us, right? So I don't want to act up here, pretend like I know everything. I'm not up here acting like, oh, you shouldn't have those beliefs or views. Again, one of the good things about this country is that you can have those 100%. Viewpoints, right? You can have those viewpoints you want. If you like guns, hey, all for it. If you like freedom of speech, hey, go ahead, do your thing. If you like freedom of the press, whatever it may be, that's your thing. Cool beans. But we should respect that all the way around.
100%.
We should respect that all the way around.
100%.
And that's one thing we don't do. So again, which one is it, folks? We welcome to the table anyone that wants to come and have these discussions. The DMs are open. Make sure you get in those DMs. Let us know what you're thinking about the show. We're actually getting ready to wrap up. The show goes by very quickly, dude. Shit. Just so you know. That's one thing when you're in the hot seat. And we only got 3 minutes left, so I'm going to give you a couple of quick views. Yeah. What are you watching on Netflix?
Oh, shit, dude. I just got done watching that Glass Onion movie. That was pretty awesome. Oh, no, White Lotus is HBO, right? Was watching that on HBO.
Anything you're binge watching.
Whoo! What We Do in the Shadows on Hulu. That's freaking amazing. I'm going to watch, what did I just watch? Oh, Wednesday. That show was pretty good, okay. Dude. Yeah, heck yeah.
I got to check it out.
Man, I just watched that Banshees of whatever with Colin Farrell. That was really good. Yeah, dude, just trying to get, I'm trying to get through all of the Oscar contenders so I can have like a good opinion.
There you go.
Hopefully no one gets slapped this year, but maybe they do.
Nice
maybe
one.
They do.
Bringing in a sore subject.
That was that's the most interesting Oscars I've seen. Besides the La La Land one, right? Before it was the one where the guy accidentally called La La Land to the stage, but it was Moonlight. Remember all that stuff? And then this exciting thing happened too. But
yeah, so if you're watching right now, drop us in the comment section. If Juan slaps the shit out of me right now, will you share this post? Really quickly,
yeah.
Mexican food versus Tex-Mex.
Oh, dude, you're only going to give me 2 minutes for that?
Come on now, bring
hour.
it.
Here's the thing, man. If as a border town kid, I'm going to tell you something. If you're eating your menudo with tortilla, you're doing it completely wrong. And I'm not trying to school you or anything. I'm just telling you that it's just like, it's in the Bible, dude.
Someone's
you got to eat it
offended
with
right
bread,
now.
bro.
Someone's watching this and offended.
Dude, I put that on a message thing. So I'm part of this restaurant thing on Facebook. Don't ask me why. I don't even know how the hell I ended up on that thing. I put that up there one time, just jokingly, right? Like, oh, if you don't eat bread with menudo, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. Dude, the hate I got.
Wait a minute, bread with menudo?
Yeah, dude, it's like it's called oh my god, bolillo, or it's like French bread, and it's toasted. You put butter on it, it soaks up.
Yeah, it soaks up the juice.
What are you gonna do with like you're making like a menudo taco? Like, it just feels like somebody forgot. Like, they were like, yeah, we made menudo. Shit, what are you supposed to put with it? Grab that,
whatever you
grab
got.
that nasty ass tortilla right there. Just put it right there. So, that's it. So, I mean, food wise, and yellow cheese doesn't really belong on Mexican food. Tex-Mex. It's fine. Like, it's cool. Like, I get it. Oh yeah, we're San Antonio. We're cool and all that stuff with all that. And I get it. And I love San Antonio. But if you guys ever go to El Paso, even Laredo, dude, just have some good Mexican food.
Get some real Mexican food.
Mexican. I mean, don't be mad at me, but
I ain't mad. Listen, if someone were to ask me Mexican food or Tex-Mex, I'd probably say neither. But I do like a little bit of sour cream every now and then. And tacos don't sound bad tonight. Favorite breakfast taco? We're taking a poll out of all the guests on the show. Favorite breakfast taco?
Bro, I'm telling you, I grew up with breakfast burritos.
So I heard that's an El Paso thing.
Yeah, it is. It's border town thing as well. You know why they call them burritos? Do you know that?
Give me the knowledge.
So the people from Juarez would make them, and then they would put them like on a little like backpack on the back, and they would look like burros when they were walking across, because they had all of the burritos on their back. So that's why I call them burritos. I learned that on Netflix. I'm not gonna take that. Oh,
well, someone's gonna fact check this, so you better be right, or else they're gonna give us. They're gonna tell us. All the MAGA supporters are gonna tell us we're spreading fake news. You know what I'm saying?
Get out of my country.
What's this Parler? Hey, this video can be found on Parler tonight. Go ahead and upload it.
I saw this on True Social.
There you go, folks. There you have it. Hey, 2 Mexicans on the show. It's not Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much, folks. Are we wrapping up? Do we got a couple more minutes? I don't know. Let me give you some closing words and we'll end the show. Juan, thank you. It's been a pleasure having you tonight, sir.
Yes, dude. Hey, and you look jacked. Don't forget.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? Keep it
you.
up.
That's your last words? That's all you got for us?
Dude, I'm looking at your shoulders right now and they're popping out.
Say goodbye to our
Chest
audience.
is saying what's up.
Hey, you're going to make my wife upset.
She knows.
She
knows. She's going to be like, take off that tie as soon as you get home.
Oh,
I don't know why I gave her a southern accent, but I did.
Yeah, she's one of these southern belles down here.
Hi, Maximo.
Oh, my God.
Is that what she says?
I don't know, dude. Let's cut the show right there. We've had enough. All right, folks, there it is. Happy Tuesday. Go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. We appreciate you. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday, VodPod Media. Big shout out to Guylan, Jalen, Amzai. We appreciate y'all doing that work behind the scenes, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Juice.